Hello and welcome back. The time has come for me to make a start on turning my segmented vase. I have the first half of it glued on to the teak block for the base, and that is glued on to a piece of waste beech. So for the first part, I'm going to highlight the inside of the lower half and finish it, and then round off the outside of this. I'm not going to bring it to its final shape or final thickness. It's just to round this off so that I can glue on the feature ring part of the vase. And rounding it off will give me the true centre of the piece, and it will make it easier to keep this running true all the way up to the final height of the vase. If I glued this all together and then mounted it on the lathe in one piece, there would have been two problems. The first of which would be that it would be difficult to hollow right down to the centre, to the base of the vase, as there's quite a narrow opening in the neck of the vase, and I'd like to have it properly finished on the inside. And also, gluing up the rings on my press that I have is a really good way to glue the discs together, but it is very difficult to have it running perfectly true all the way up. So doing it in stages allows me to refine the centre of the lower piece and then glue the middle piece on and centre it, and then the top piece as well. If it was all together, then it could run through down at the base block, but then it could be considerably out of centre at the top, and while turning it the whole piece could just come apart. So that's two reasons why I'm doing it this way. But to make a start, first of all, I'll clean out the inside and finish it off, and then we'll get an idea of how it's going to look on the outside as well. I have the inside smoothed out now till just a few mil off of the base block. I'll switch to truing up the outside, get an idea on my finished wall thickness, and then I'll refine the inside based on that. I don't want to end up with it too narrow to start with while I build out the rest of it, but I'll create a nice round corner down in the bottom, a slight dimple in the base, and then sand and finish it. I stopped for a minute just to sharpen my gouge. With this being segmented turning, it's all side grain of the wood that is being cut, which is very easy on the tools. but the glue isn't. The glue has quite a blunting effect on the tools, so doing this I'll probably have to sharpen the gouge a few times. But I'm starting to get the sort of shape that I'm looking for with the base of this vase. This will taper down lower into the teak block for the foot. There is still a few flat spots on the walnut here which will come down, and I've got about 8 to 10 mil thickness. It's a bit thicker in places down around here, which I'll smooth out when I finish the inside and when I go over the outside with a scraper later. That's all I'll do with the outside now. I'll round out the inside and let's get it sanded. That's all I'll do with the outside now. So I'll finish off smoothing out the inside, round out the bottom, sand it and finish it. I have the inside smoothed out now and a nice rounded corner in the bottom. I tried to get footage of that, but no matter where I put the camera, all you could really see was the back of my head as I was trying to really get in there without taking a big chunk out down in the bottom and destroying the thing. But we're ready now to give this a sand, and then I'm really excited to put some finish on the inside here and really see this walnut pop. The camera battery died while I was burnishing in the oil, but I wanted to give you a chance to see just how well it has finished on the inside of this vase. The walnut has really popped with the addition of the oil. I've sanded it to 400 grit, and oil is all that I've put on so far. When I fully finish it, I'll be using Yorkshire grit and then Hampshire Sheen to give it a protective coating on the inside, but I'm not going to do that now until I've glued on the feature ring, as it's likely that I will mess up this surface when I'm finishing the inside of the feature ring. So I'll wait until it is on and then fully finish that. The feature ring is now glued in place and pinched by the tailstock to apply pressure to it. I wasn't able to record it as I couldn't get an angle on the camera and still be able to work freely to get it centred. I have it fairly well centred. There is one part where the level of the ring dips below what I currently have turned on the walnut, but that's fine as I want to refine this shape here and have a slightly smoother curve coming up to the feature ring. There is plenty meat left in the walnut to be able to do that. So I'll leave this to dry overnight, and tomorrow I'll true up the feature ring and fully finish down inside the vase. 24 hours has passed now, so the first thing I'll do is remove the excess sapele on the outside of the vase and true up the feature ring as much as possible on the outside, and then remove the excess on the inside as well. The inside is now smoothed off and the same level, ready to be sanded. I'll finish rounding off the outside and getting a bit more of the final shape, then I'll sand and finish the inside. That's it now, sanded to 400 grit and burnished with a coat of finishing oil. I'll now apply some Yorkshire grit and then Hampshire Sheen as a protective coat. If the outside looks half as good as the inside when it's finished, then I'll be happy. Time now to glue the upper rings onto the vase, and then I'll leave it to dry overnight before finishing. Right, the top part of the vase is now glued on. I've had the lathe running just to see how well centred it is, and it's pretty good. There is a bit of a discrepancy at the centre here now, and I think that's due to the uneven weight on the upper rims and the the thin wall thickness down at the bottom. So I'm hoping that as I hollow out the inside, that should reduce that. In any case, when I've hollowed out the rest of the inside and finished it, I'll be able to put a bung in the top and bring up my tailstock to support the vase while I turn and finish the outside. But we'll make a start on hollowing out the rest of the inside and get it finished. I have the inside of the vase between the feature ring and the upper rings at a level surface now. That was some butt clenching turning, I can tell you that for nothing, but I'm happy with how that has turned out. So I'll work now on shaping around the rim before having a look at the final shape so that I can finish the inside and have it supported just to fully refine the outside of it. That's the majority of the turning done now. I was getting on quite well with the final shaping, but I have started to develop a bit of vibration because the end of it isn't supported. So I'll take the time now to sand and finish the inside completely so that I can support it and refine the curves around the feature ring, just so that it has the nice sweeping form that I want to have from the vase. is the turning completely finished now. I used the parting tool to pare down the thickness that I want left for the base. The teak was a lot harder than I thought it would have been, so I had to sharpen my parting tool a few times to be able to do that. But I've slightly undercut it there on the foot as well for it to rest on. I'm unsure at this moment how to finish the foot. I might try just flipping it around and putting the rim in my coal jaws, but if I feel that that is going to be too risky for it just exploding, then I might use a router just to put a slight cup in the bottom. But before we worry about that, I'll get this fully sanded and get some oil on it so we can see how this is going to turn out. And here is the finished vase. I lost the footage of me parting it off as I turned the camera off when I went to sharpen it, and I obviously forgot to turn the camera back on. So apologies for that, but it really was just a case of paring down the wood until it was thin enough to cut it off with the saw. So this is finished with Yorkshire grit and then Hampshire Sheen high gloss on the exterior and the interior as well. You probably can't see inside there very well, but it is fully finished. I'm really happy with how the chevron pattern has worked out. It's really even all the way around. So for a first attempt at that, I'm really quite pleased. The jig that I made seemed to have done the trick. I have an idea on how to finish the bottom. I haven't done it yet. It's just slightly undercut so that it will sit flat for now. What I'm going to do is I'll mount it on the lathe in the coal jaws just to cut in a little indentation. I'll leave maybe a 50mm rim on the bottom of it to sit on and cut in an indentation, and then I'm going to sign it with a Dremel tool and also make a note of how many segments it is that makes up this vase, and I'm going to do that for all my segmented turnings. But this is only the second time I've ever done anything segmented, and it's the largest of the two as well. The first thing I did was just a practice when I first got my bandsaw, and it was just a little bowl really. So for my first vase, I'm really quite pleased with how this has turned out. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this vase be made. I hope I've been able to be instructive and explain my process well. I'm trying to do it in such a way as so that you can try it yourself if you're that way inclined. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you to my subscribers for your support, and if you'd like to subscribe to me, check out my channel, as I'll be doing more of the same in the future. Thanks very much.